Surges, pearls, and pulleys.
Always saying that they're missing that. Or I noticed that was the one big thing on the surge protectors in the Jupiter cables. I noticed the cable is a little underrated for this particular system. We do have the upgraded cable, which I highly recommend. I have driven 70 miles multiple times to change out this cable. It's insurance. One of those things, the only time I've ever had one of these go bad is a dog chewed through one. Pretty much the same kind of deal with surges. Usually I tell short stories. I had a guy that had his house hit by lightning, the true story, and it burnt out everything except for the stuff that was hooked up to a surge protector. He ended up buying all of my surge protectors. Not really a lie, I only had two, but he did buy both. So that was always, I don't know, those are the two best ways I could say I pitched those two ladies. The Polk system is usually, I own it. I love it. I actually love it so much I have three of them, one for every TV in my house. Let me bring it in. Let me just show you what it's like. If you don't like it, no questions asked. I will box that sucker right up, no problem, put it right back in the van. And usually, as soon as you get that thing hooked up, get the TV and the plus button, right? That's right buttons? Yep, TV plus on the demo. Get that sub as high as it'll go. Get the surround sound as high as it will go. And say, yeah, this is about half volume. And usually the windows are shaking at that. Most of the time, as soon as you get that, it's already a done deal. Most of the time, it's just leave it there. They don't want to see you rebox it up.
And you talk a lot about the sale or the price, right? And I won't say you talk a lot about it, but
it's lucky for you because you are a new Connect. It is on sale today. But usually I'm always checking ahead of time, but yeah, $450 for you, and they're usually $510. I usually just come up with some kind of random number. Or back in the day, it was $510, but today for you it is $450.
Obviously, looking at that dish protect, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah. And I get both of the time. That's what I'm selling it at. But granted, I have sold it with the $500 price tag on quite a few times as well.
Oh, Matt, I'm so sorry to interrupt, Luke. Matt is actually one of our guys here in the Brooklyn Center area. So, hi, Matt. If you want to go ahead and just put yourself on mute, we're listening to Luke and Michael explain what they do when they bring in, selling Fullies, selling AudioQuest HDMI surges and stuff like that. So, I'm so sorry. Luke, go ahead. Continue.
So, yeah. Make sure I say the main thing is you own it and you absolutely love the thing. That's probably the main key on that Polk system.
Love it.
I hope it helps.
Yeah, so I think that the approach with that Luke takes a lot with, obviously we saw it with the surge protectors, the pearls and the Polk system is really just, hey, I believe in this product, and he conveys that through the energy that he brings and talks to his customers about with that. And I think that you just, not being afraid to take a shot at every job.
No.
Right? I mean, I think, that's probably one of Luke's biggest successes is not, he doesn't prejudge. He doesn't, it's just, I'm going to take a shot every single time. If it lands, it lands. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I think even with his approach of being like, hey, if you don't like it, I'll box it back up and I'll take it right back out. Right? I think it alleviates the pressure for the customer to feel like this is something I'm being talked into or swindled into. It's kind of like, hey, no obligation, hear it out. And you said it when we were just talking, right? The system sells itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just about getting it into the house. Selling it and getting it into the home is the tough part, because after that, you just let the Polk system sell itself.
Three times in the last 2 years, I've had to rebox it up.
Yep.
The rest of the time, it's left.
Yep.
Wow. That's impressive. I love that. I love the not pre-qualifying customers, giving everybody the chance to say yes, and it sounds like most of them do. So that's fantastic.
It's actually my experience in the cities. It's a lot of times the people you would think would not qualify or would not be able to pay for it are actually the people who will take it. I mean, you go to a trailer home, you think, yeah, these people aren't going to buy much, but you demo that sound system and they want it. You go to a 2-bedroom Latino house and they love it. You go to a mansion they won't buy squat.
It's true. I mean, they got all that money by not spending it. So
They live like they're poor. Poor people are poor because they live like they're rich.
There's some probably some truth to that, and that's one of the things that we've had to, over the years, I would say, as with guys like these that have done really, really well with sales, really helping to expel some of those the myths, right? Because in the beginning, we would get so many excuses of, well, customers don't have money and nobody wants to buy anything and all of these things, right? And then it was kind of like, well, what about him? And look at what he did. And, just using that overcoming those excuses, I guess, is the best way I can put it. And guys like this have helped do that, right? Where it's just like, it's not possible, right? It can be done. And these guys do it month after month, right? It's not like they just do it 1 month, and it's not like they just get lucky that month because they had better customers. They do it every single month. I mean, Barta with his OnTick averages probably $250 a work order. In DVS alone, you're probably usually in the 90 to 100. Luke Becker probably averages $60 to $70 per work order a month, and that's again every single month. And attach rates, they're probably 30 to 50% every single month. So again, anywhere between 1 out of every 3 to 1 out of every 2 customers that they get something sold on. So, Barta, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'll let you go. Do you want to talk a little bit about your ADT approach and?
So the ADT and Google. I usually start with the Google. The easiest way I find is the minute I say hi to them, I've already rang their doorbell. The first question after I'm in there, made my introduction, is I'll simply ask them, is there a reason that they don't have a smart doorbell yet? Most clients they've heard of them, they've seen them, their friends have them. Just letting them know, they'll ask, no, I've never thought about it. So I'll tell them, we do that. We can do that for you today. We have it right on the truck. We got Google cameras if you want a camera to watch your driveway. So that's pretty much the simplest thing, is just letting the clients know what products we have. And since they obviously don't have a smart doorbell, you can pitch the doorbell, and from there you can springboard to anything else. Now, the ADT is a little more interesting, but it's also pretty simple. I usually wait until I've been in the house for a couple minutes, or maybe the first time I'm leaving the house, to go outside to do the survey. And I'll ask them if they've had or if they have a security system in their house, especially if I notice that they don't have a security system in their house. I know they're going to say they don't have one. So I'll tell them that Dish is now paired with ADT, and Dish clients can get ADT for the basic bundle plus install for only $100, compared to if they were to sign up through, Simply Safe or Ring, which would cost them $500 to $800.
And the free toys.
But they changed some of those, so be careful with those. Being able to tell them, you're getting $1,000 worth of equipment for $100. I will throw in that I add this caveat, because everyone is always wondering what the catch is. So I will just volunteer the catch and tell them the only catch to getting this is it has to be signed up for while we are on site, because the discount is only for Dish clients. I will tell them there is a specific work order code, which is the truth, that has to be given to the salesperson over the phone. So mentioning that fairly early on allows the client to mull it over in their head. Most of the time, 90% of the time, they're going to say, I need to talk with my husband, I need to talk with my wife. But getting it out there, showing them that they can get a security system for just $100 plus the install, is the simplest way to get it out there. And because you've already told them that it has to be done while we are on site, it leaves the sale open for you to come back later and ask, so what did you think? Do you want to sign up for it? Do you want to sign up for today? Let's make the call. If they have any questions, you can say, let's make the call, and you can discuss with the person on the phone the different bundles, the pricings and all that sort of stuff, what equipment you get, and at least it gets them on the phone, because if they're not on the phone, you're never going to make that sale. So getting them on the phone is usually 50% of the work. Once they're on the phone, I'd say about 50% of the people who get on the phone end up getting it. So that's 25% of the people you pitch it to. I mean, sometimes you'll go there and they'll already have a Brink system, or they will already have ADT. stuff like that, I will still ask them how much they pay for the monthly monitoring. And if it's more than what ADT is, I will go up and still just straight up offer them to see if they want to swap out to ADT, which would save them their money.
And I think that, what we see with both these guys' approaches too is they create a sense of urgency while they're there.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the key, because again, a lot of times, what are you going to get for rebuttals, right? I need to talk to my spouse. I need to, I don't have the money today. Can I get it next Friday? Well, we have learned over the years that they're not going to order it, right? Like, that's just a way for them to politely say no. And these guys, again, have come up with different ways of, using some of that stuff to their advantage of, hey, we can only do this while we're on site with you today, right? And stuff like that, where it creates that sense of urgency for the customer. So they go, hey, I got to make this decision while they're here, rather than wait on it. So I think, and again, both of them, if you think about the ADT approach and the Polk approach, like, as they said, half the battle with it is getting getting the Polk in the house. After that, the Polk does the work, right? Half the battle is getting the customer on the phone for ADT. After that, it's now on the CXO to finish the sale, right? So it's kind of like, you got to look at it as that battle. Like, my battle is to get that sound system in the home. My battle is to get them on the phone for ADT. If I do those things, right, my chances now for completing that sale have just gone up exponentially, right? And so instead of focusing on how do I necessarily close the sale right now, it's how do I just get them to the next step? How do I get them into getting the sound system in the home? How do I get them on the phone? Because now I can work on the closing of the sale after that.
Springboarding off of what Eric and Luke both were saying, a very simple way to get the Polk system into their house, I don't know if your techs carry a demo system, is if you're doing a mover or a new connect that is going to take time, I'll just bring it right in and say, hey, let you listen to some music while I do the work, keep you entertained. So that way you're not asking them a question, you are just bringing it in and you're saying, I'm going to play music for you so you're entertained while I do the work. Then by the time you've finished the work, they've had time to play around with it, and they might like it. They might say, hey, can I heat this? Or, stuff like that. Then you can start pitching them that we carry these and they can have it for their TV that day.
Fantastic. I guess one question I have for you guys, and hopefully I'm not making it awkward with Eric sitting right there, but I'm curious what your guys' feedback on the tablets is.
Oh, the tablets, I love them. It's got everything on there. I can hand it over to them. I can go straight to the sound system. And I've actually sold a couple just by handing the client the tablet with the sound system and say, hey, check this out. They'll come back. Yeah, all right, I want to put it in. The ADT is very useful with the tablet because it goes into so much more detail on the different products, what it does. So it's kind of like you are pawning it off on another thing, saying, hey, this is what we do. This is not me as a technician trying to sell you something. This is Dish as a company providing this extra service for you. So that way you don't come off looking just like, hey, he's trying to sell me everything.
Yeah,
Love that.
I'm about the same. I don't love them quite as much as you do, but it's like another thing to bring in. A lot of times they don't know what half that stuff. I don't know. Most of them are elderly people. They don't know what a Google Mini is until you kind of tell them a story about it or something. So it seems like it brings in a lot of questions, but it does open the door for them to ask those questions. So yeah, about a little less than Marta, but
I think
do
that
use them.
what we've asked everybody with the tablets, right, especially because, again, guys that are hitting goal, they're hitting goal every single month, it's hard to say, hey, here's something, go change what you do, right? I think that we just ask that they again, we talk about it as a tool. It's a tool. It's another tool in your arsenal, right? It's not the end all be all. The tablet won't do the sales for you, but can it open the door and be an assistant to making sales to you? Yes. And that's what I ask of them every day, right? Is like, maybe not every customer sees the tablet, but maybe on the ones that you're not so sure of, use the tablet as your guide to start, right? Like, it just depends on the customer, depends on the situation.
It's also nice that it has Spanish. So, like I said, my last client didn't really understand the sound system, so I just flipped it over to Spanish and showed it to them, and then they were looking at it, oh, they liked it, and then they get it, or, you know, you can't win them all, but
Can't win 'em all.
I think it's always a sticker shock.
Yeah.
I can't say I wish they had prices on there, but at least the high end prices would be kind of nice. And then if they had to just protect.
Oh yeah, the high end prices, and then you can be like, but I can give it to you today
Yeah.
for
That's
Today you are lucky. 'Cause it's cheap.
actually not a bad idea.
I love that. No, that's great.
the same thing when they say, oh, can I get this at a later date? I'll tell them, yes, you can, but then you're paying shipping and handling and you're installing it yourself. If you get it today, you know, you don't have to pay any shipping or handling, and I can install it for you.
And I'm going to teach you how to use it.
And pair it up to your dish remote.
All included for the same price.
All the same price.
Same price.
Yeah, building value, right? Building that value. I think, again, that's another one. Again, sense of urgency for today. Why do you want it? I'm going to save you money. I'm going to teach you how to use it. You're going to get all of this stuff for one price, right?
Now, you do have to take a couple minutes to set it up and show them. It's not really something you can kind of just throw in there, because otherwise then the client gets even more frustrated.
Yeah.
And I've come across a lot of clients where some of my coworkers just kind of threw the sound system in there, didn't explain it to them, and the clients were almost about to return it before I actually, you know, showed them how to use it, showed them exactly how it works. So it does take a little more time, but it is, you know, a big sale. So if you can take that extra 5-10 minutes just to show them, you know, the little features, it'll prevent you from getting returns.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
What other questions do you guys have for these two?
Well, before I hand it over to Robert, I wanted to offer, Matt, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask these guys? Because I know they're getting ready to go, and I know you're on a job site right now, so.
I don't know exactly what you said before, but a lot of that is good information. Yeah, we're here on a job site getting bit by mosquitoes, but I'll just listen for the end and we'll keep going here.
All right. Thank you, Matt. All right. So basically what we've covered thus far is they don't pre-qualify any customers. In fact, it's the customers that you don't think are going to spend money that are probably going to, compared to the people you think are going to, don't. They had, that was mostly what you missed before you got on, Matt. So let's see, I'm trying to think if I had any other questions. I guess, what do you, for the ADT part of things, what has been your guys' experience with actually getting the customer on the phone with the ADT specialist? Because we've gotten a couple of customers to that point, and then they always get like weirded out by the questions or something, and they end up hanging up.
Yeah.
So the first things you got to understand is I will kind of lay a little bit of the groundwork of what's going to be expected on the call, because I do understand they're going to start asking for emails, credit cards, social securities. So I always try and soften the client up a little bit by explaining that this is a high-end security system. In order for you to be protected, they want to make sure that you're the actual owner of this house. You know, you're actually legitimately putting this in. They're not going to just give you $1,000 worth of equipment without making sure that you are actually a legitimate client as well. So just like if you were to go for, I just got a new loan for financing something for my truck, and they asked the exact same questions. So if you turn that around, you can tell the client it's pretty much the same thing as if you were to apply for a new credit card. That they're going to be giving you use of their money and their equipment. They're going to want to make sure that they have, something in return, make sure that you're actually a legitimate person. Yeah, you're not just someone who's slapping it in for their friend and then going to, use it and then bail on the house, or maybe they're just squatters or stuff like that. It's to make sure the client stays protected.
Fantastic. All right. So for you had something else?
I was going to say, just one thing to be mindful of when they make their call. That call can take about 45 minutes. Also, they are going to have to sign some things in DocuSign. So if you are working with an elderly person or something, make sure they got a smartphone, they know how to use it. Otherwise, you might need to walk them through it.
That actually is a very good point, and I have a follow-up question. Do you sit there and wait with them during that entire process? Okay.
No. The first thing I tell them is I'm going to tell the agent on the phone, I'll walk them through the first, do you own the house? What's the 6 or 7 digit work order code? Blah, blah, blah. Then they transfer it over to the actual sales department, and I will tell the client they are going to ask you a lot of personal information, your credit card, because they do run a credit check as well. So I tell the client, I am going to hand the phone over to you. You talk what you need. I'm going to go outside of work so you don't feel, like I'm, basically, the client doesn't feel like you're sitting there listening and it's one more person that's hearing their information. I will hand over the phone and say, I'm going to go work. When it gets to the point where you have any questions or need any assistance, like with signing the documents, feel free to come and find me, and I can help you out with what I can.
I say it depends upon how they are. Some of these people are a little older and they kind of need their handhelds.
Yeah. Well, bless your guys' hearts.
Report anyway. Otherwise, that's exactly what I try to do. But then there's also times when you can kind of feel it slipping away when they're talking to the ADT salesman, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you guys are, depending on, again, who you're getting on the phone, you kind of make a decision of, I need to babysit this call a little bit to make sure it goes through.
Yeah.
And I mean, and here's the thing, like, I know it sucks from a time perspective, right? Like, you're spending more time on site because you're having to, again, 45 minutes to get all the sales closed out, the work order created, da-da-da-da. But on the flip side, it is $1,000 sale, or, what, I don't know what your guys' dollar per work order is with it, but, these guys are getting $800 to $1,100 of credit for $1 per work order, depending on which package they sell. So, there's a little bit of compensation for, yes, it's more time, but it's also worth it for the $1 per work order. So, it's kind of a give and take with that.
Absolutely. Robert, I did you have any questions?
Actually, you guys have answered every single one of the questions that I had for you, and I cannot tell you how much we appreciate, you guys taking time from your day to share with us. The only other questions I had probably were do you guys do the training? Is there anything special you emphasize while you're training people, or?
You talking about like new technicians?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we just actually had a whole powwow. We have a tech. He's on day 2 on his own, and we had the whole team in there, kind of throwing things at the board for him, of things to try to do with sales, things like that. So again, I think I'm answering it from my perspective. It's these guys sharing best practices with them, getting them to understand, again, the sales culture that we have here, and sharing best practices. We had to tone it down a little bit because here's the thing: everybody's got different approaches. They do, and it's great. And I told them I'll never stop you from all having different approaches on how you're going to go sell stuff. But
Make the numbers.
But for a new guy, I need very specifics. So that's what we kind of just spent some time with. So I think it's a corporation during their training, making sure that their dish coach is focused on sales with them as part of the job. And then again, just incorporating them into that sales culture even afterwards. Like I said this morning, with the whole team's here, at least this team, one of our teams, and they're all in there giving best practices to the new tech, right? So,
or at least different practices.
At least different practices, right? Different things to go try and do. Yeah.
Having more ammo in your arsenal, just having different ways, because different clients will respond differently. A lot of times I try and sell very nonchalantly and just kind of off the cuff, but there are some clients where they want, they're kind of more of a focus, kind of a business-like perspective, in which case it would actually benefit you to go into that kind of business sales, pros, cons, this, and actually like crunch the numbers with them. And some clients are like that.
I love that. It's it depends on the technician and it depends on the customer. So I like that, the best practices, but then honing the methods to fit you as a person and your customer as a person.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I was, and again, we were just talking about this literally when we were with the new tech, as I said, giving 12 different ways to go do it is probably not what we want. And I say that what I've seen as the best practices is if you take one person that's really successful and maybe even kind of try to blend their personalities and go like, they're pretty similar, and get those 2 technicians to talk and say, hey, how do you sell Polk? Okay, I do it X, Y, and Z at this time and this time. And then telling that new technician or the guy that's struggling to go, follow exactly what he said. Do it exactly. Listen, don't change nothing. I know it may feel awkward to you. It's maybe not who you are or how it feels to you, but follow exactly what he said. Because then when they start having success following somebody else's thing, their confidence grows, and then they start blending it into their own way. And you'll find 6 months down the road, and you go back to the tech and you go, man, you've been killing it with Polk. What are you doing? And he'll give you some whole different thing about how he's doing it, which was way different than he was taught. But it fits who he is or she is, and it works for them. So
initially comfortable pitching the product is one of the most important things.
They just need that guide to follow first, and then they can kind of break the mold after that. So
absolutely. No, that's great.